He didn't believe in love stories, not the kind you see in movies, not the ones that end with happily ever after. For Ethan Cole, love was a distraction, an inconvenience that never fit into his calendar of board meetings, deadlines, and billion-dollar decisions. Yet, if someone had told him that a single Christmas there would change his life forever, he would have laughed at the same cold, hollow laugh that kept everyone at arm's length. But that night, when he opened his door to a stranger standing in the snow, everything he believed about love via broken bar shattered. Ethan Cole was the kind of man people whispered about, the youngest self-made CEO in the city, ruthless in negotiations, elegant in presence, and utterly unapproachable. His life revolved around one thing: control. Every second, every meeting, every headline about him was managed to perfection. He was the man who couldn't afford mistakes, especially not emotional ones. Christmas, for him, was just another day, another excuse for people to waste time and money. Across town, Amelia Bennett sat at her kitchen table, staring at her friends' group chat, lighting up her phone. "Come on, Leah, it's Christmas Eve. Do something fun for once. You can't keep working through the holidays again." "Fine, then at least do the dare," she sighed. The dare was simple: go on a blind date arranged by her friend at the local matchmaking event. Amelia was a kind-hearted graphic designer who believed in love but had given up on finding it after losing her fiancé copyright in an accident 3 years ago. She built walls around her heart, soft-spoken but unbreakable ones. The dare wasn't supposed to mean anything, just a joke among friends. She didn't even know the man she'd been matched with, a mystery. Cole. It sounded generic enough that she didn't bother to check. She threw on a red coat, brushed her hair, and whispered to herself, "It's just one night." On the other side of the city, Ethan was cornered by his best friend and business partner, Luke. "Come on, man, you've been alone for too long. It's Christmas. Just one date. I dare you." Ethan scoffed. "You're joking, right? Me? A blind date?" Luke smirked. "Exactly. You've done everything else." "Don't tell me the great Ethan Cole is scared of one woman." The room went quiet. Ethan hated losing. "Fine," he said coldly, "one date." "Then you owe me silence about this forever." But fate, as it often does, had plans neither of them could predict. When Amelia's taxi broke down in the snow, her phone died too. All she had was the address sent by her friend, a sleek apartment building with golden lights shining through frosted glass. She climbed the stairs, shivering, and rang the bell. The door opened to reveal him, a tall, sharp-featured, eyes like winter storms, and a look of confusion turning quickly into annoyance. "Yes?" Ethan asked, his voice low and clipped. I think I'm here for the blind date," she said, brushing snow off her coat. He frowned. "This must be a mistake. I don't do dates at home." She bit her lip. "Look, I walked here in the snow. My phone's dead. Can I just warm up for a minute?" Something in her voice, a tired, honest, human name, made him step aside. "Fine." 5 minutes. The apartment was spotless, sterile almost, all black and glass, with no sign of warmth except for the faint scent of cinnamon candles. "You live alone?" she asked softly. "Yes, prefer it that way." "Figures," she muttered under her breath, not realizing he heard. For the first time in years, Ethan smiled, not out of arrogance, but amusement. As the minutes passed, conversation slipped out of them both like melting ice. She talked about her work, her late fiancé copyright, her belief that love didn't need to be perfect, just honest. Ethan listened, something rare for him. When she said, "I think we all wear masks to protect what we've lost," he felt the weight of her words pressing against his own armor. When she stood to leave, the snow outside had turned into a blizzard. "You can't go out in that," he said, looking out the window. "You'll freeze." She smiled. "I'll be fine." But she wasn't. 20 minutes later, she was still standing outside, the storm worsening. Ethan watched from the window, heart pounding. Against every instinct, he grabbed his coat and ran after her. When he found her, she was sitting on a bench, hugging herself, snow clinging to her hair. "You're insane," he said, wrapping his coat around her. "You cooled via. Why do you care?" she whispered. "You don't even believe in love." He looked at her, the wind howling around them. "Maybe I don't, but I believe in you." That night, he brought her back. They sat by the fire, two strangers who'd stopped pretending they weren't broken. He told her about his father, who'd walked out on Christmas Eve when he was 12, leaving behind only a note that said, "Some men aren't made for family." Ever since then, Ethan had sworn never to need anyone. Amelia looked at him with tearful eyes and said softly, "Then maybe it's time to rewrite that story." For the first time, Ethan didn't know how to respond. He just listened to the sound of snow hitting the glass, the warmth of her presence softening the cold inside him. Days passed. What started as a Christmas dare turned into daily calls, laughter, shared coffees, and quiet moments. The world outside didn't change, but he did. He started to notice things: the glow of morning light, the sound of her humming while sketching, the peace that came with simply existing beside someone who understood silence. On New Year's Eve, as fireworks lit up the city, Ethan stood beside her on the balcony. "You know," he said, "I used to think blind dates were a joke." She smiled. "And now?" He looked at her, really looked, and said, "Now I think fate has a wicked sense of humor." They both laughed, and in that laughter, something new was born. Not the dramatic, cinematic kind of love, but something real, quiet, and alive. Months later, when spring came and the snow melted, Ethan found himself standing outside a small art studio where Amelia had her first gallery showing. Her artwork, vibrant, soulful, filled with hope, drew a crowd, but his eyes were only on her. When she saw him, she smiled and said, "You came." He stepped closer and whispered, "You dared me once to open my heart. Now I'm daring you to keep it." She didn't need to say yes. The way she looked at him said everything.